So the mission is to find us a home in the next 60 days before this baby comes. Which house is the house? Therefore, do not be anxious, saying, what shall we eat, or what shall we drink, or what shall we wear, or where shall we live? We did make an offer last night. The past 24 hours have been an absolute whirlwind
of emotions.
And we just got a text message from our realtor. Hey friends, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to our house hunting series. We have been sharing our little house hunting journey in the last few videos, which has been fun actually to take a little break from talking about baby and pregnancy and just talk about this whole process and how it's been going for us. I feel like a lot of people are in the same kind of phase of life as we are, young families and trying to buy your first home. Well, this will be our second home technically, but our first actual house, because right now we're in a condo. If you don't know anything about us, we live in Chicago, got 2 kiddos, my husband Richie, and I'm pregnant with the third. So the mission is to find us a home in the next 60 days before this baby comes. Yeah, if you haven't seen the other 2 vlogs yet, definitely go check them out. I shared a bunch of houses we've already looked at, I think 4 or 5 in total. It's been quite a journey. It's been very up and down. I'm trying to pick up where we left off. So in the last vlog, we were in contract for the second time. And the good news is that we're still in contract. Everything is still looking good there. Praying everything goes smoothly. We did have the inspection. There were just a few minor things that we need to fix and we should be moving forward there nicely, which is fantastic. We showed in the last vlog 2 places that we checked out that were actually really, really good options for our family, had almost everything on our wish list. Okay, as I'm editing, I realized we never actually showed you 2 houses. We showed you 1 house, which was a really good one that we were very excited about. The next day, we ended up seeing another one that we were also equally excited about and actually got a lot more footage of that place. And that place was like staged, like nobody was living there. The whole thing was just staged very nicely. So I'll go ahead and show you some of those clips now. Ooh, fancy. I like these for the kitchen, like so much space. Oh no, that water's collecting pretty bad over there. I like this bathroom a lot. It's so cute.
And he's like, you're gonna know. He's like, you're gonna walk in, you're gonna be like, this is it.
You're having that feeling?
Yeah, it's cozy how I want it to be cozy.
Oh my
but
God.
It's like updated and nice and
And in the past few days, we have truly just been like in so much thought and prayer, constantly in my mind, going back and forth between each house, mulling over which house is the house. I don't think I've ever used that word before, mulling, but that is like the word to use here. Just this, it's constantly back and forth in my head. I'm like, oh yeah, it definitely needs to be this one. And then I'll think some more. And an hour later, I'm like, no, definitely needs to be this one. So that has been like all that Richie and I have been talking about. The differences between them are so small, it almost feels like we can't go wrong with either one. So yes, of course, we had to make a pros and cons list because our minds have just been like scrambled eggs. So for the sake of keeping them straight and obviously not calling them by their street names as we've been doing, I'm gonna call them house number 1 and house number 2. And again, I didn't even really have footage of house number 1 because there was a tenant already living in there. It's kind of a lot of stuff everywhere, which took away from the house looking as good as we know it looks because we saw pictures of it staged online and it looked amazing. Here's what they both have practically the same. They're both like aesthetically the same. They're both updated homes with like white cabinet kitchens, like new countertops, hardwood floors all throughout. They're both ranches with 3 rooms on the first level and 1 room in the basement. They both have big, spacious basements. They both have great school districts. So those are like the main things that are pretty much the same, but then the few differences that come into play is that house number 1 has a little bit like stranger of a floor plan. It just doesn't flow as nicely as house number 2. It's a little more snug. So like the living room and dining area are kind of combined into one, similar to what we have here, which has been challenging for us here, and I was hoping to find a separate dining room area, but that's kind of combined, whereas house number 2 has a completely different dining area, and so it makes it feel more spacious. But house number 1 does have like a little breakfast nook area, which is really cute, and I would love to design and have fun with a cute little breakfast nook. House number 1 also has a very, very small master bedroom. Like we just got a king size bed. I talked about it a few vlogs ago, and I'm thinking, I think this bed's gonna take up the entire room, and we wouldn't have space for dressers potentially, or maybe just one dresser. Then the other downside is that the closet is pretty small as well. Like it's not a walk-in closet. And so I'm like, where would we put our things? So the room is pretty small, but does have an ensuite. They both have ensuite bathrooms, which was like on our list. Like if we're gonna compromise anywhere, I was like, a master bedroom is not a bad place. We just have to figure out maybe like some space hacks, maybe get like a bed frame with underneath storage. The other con of house number 1 is that it's a 1-car garage, very small garage, not a lot of storage room in there from what I saw, whereas house number 2 has a 2-car garage. Since the houses are updated and we wouldn't really have to do any renovation work inside, the only like thing we're really gonna have to put some elbow grease into are the yards. But house number 1 yard is, I think, has more potential. Like there's just this big tree in the back. I just am inspired by that yard more. And a yard is very, 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 very important to me because that is the main thing that we have been missing out on. Another big difference is that house number 1 has 3 full bathrooms. House number 2 has 2 bathrooms. Not the biggest deal, but kind of nice to have that extra bathroom in the basement. The other great thing about house number 1 is that it has a park literally right down the street. I could walk there in 2 minutes. That's kind of huge, like to just have a park right there on your street. We also prefer the town of house number 1. It's just got a little more buzz. Like it's got a nicer downtown area with more to do, good restaurants. Like I just love being not too far from a metro area that like we could stroll with the family, grab some brunch, do some window shopping. That's like my perfect Saturday morning. So like, you see what I mean? It's just like all the differences are like these minor little things. It's almost like if I can take house number 2, like the actual layout of the house, and like pick it up and plop it on the lot of house number 1, then it would create the perfect house. Yesterday was Sunday. We were praying about it, of course, at church, and then like we get home and Richie's like, what are you thinking? Like what house are you leaning towards? And we were both leaning towards the same house finally, and kind of came to like some actual solid conclusions as to why that house would be the better option. We did make an offer last night on house number 1, and it just felt right. Something felt right about when we did that house tour, even though it's the kind of the smaller house. We have plans in the future to like either build back, whatever. It's a ranch, so you can definitely create more space as your family grows and as the kids get older and as you need to. Yeah, there are like the little doubts in the back of your head that are like, wait, but house number 2 had this, and oh, it had built-ins in all the closets and the first one didn't. Like just stuff like that you're just like, oh shoot. But something lined up like so perfectly with house number 1. Just the fact that we were able to get in and see that house when no one else did. From it being on public for one day, they had 17 showing requests. They ended up not doing any of them because I guess there was a situation where like there's a tenant currently living there and they're not in a huge rush to sell. The tenant was overwhelmed with people trying to come by the house because they need to move out like at the end of next month. All that to say, they canceled all those showings. We were the only one that got in to see that house, and we met the realtor. Just a really nice guy. He met our family. He saw us, you know, he saw our kids, saw that I was with child. Like, just something about, obviously, the human interaction and actually meeting people of like who might be in this home, I feel like makes a big difference. If they accept our offer, their tenant moves out end of the month, and then we would move in shortly after that, which like literally for us is an ideal timeline. It gives us time to get all our stuff together here, pack, move in, and then settle in before this baby joins the family. I will say though, like, we offered last night. Today's Monday. We haven't heard anything back. So we're truly in... Oh, here goes Richie. Let's see what he has to say.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, 3 o'clock.
I was literally just vlogging and I was updating them and saying that. I'm like, you know, it's Monday at 3. Like, we haven't heard back yet. You look stressed. You're curling your hair. I'm actually about to head out to get a car seat. I have been trying to figure out what do I do when I have 3 kids and I have to fit 3 car seats back here because we're probably not gonna be getting a new car, like a bigger car for me. The Diono brand, Diono, is like the major one that's been coming up every time I'm researching this. So, but I am gonna buy it anyway, off someone from Facebook Marketplace. They are selling it discounted for $120, which I think is a really good deal considering they go for $200 and it's brand new in the box. So I don't know why she didn't end up needing it, but I'm gonna go right now to pick that up. I did chat on the phone with Richie a little bit. He has no updates. He hasn't heard anything and he's a little bit anxious. And so I started to get a little nervous too, but then I'm like, I'm just gonna pray. And as I was praying, I was reminded of that Bible verse that talks about like the lilies in the field and how God takes care of them and he takes care of the birds in the air, and how much more is he going to take care of his children. And I just feel really at peace right now. I don't know what's going to happen. We might not get this house, you know, and in our heads, it's the perfect house. It's the perfect timeline. How can we not get it? It had to be from God. But I know that God reigns above all these little details. So he knows if there's something even better out there for us, you know, even if in our heads we're like, well, surely there's nothing better. This is the best we're going to find. Like, he knows, and he knows the right time. Anyways, this verse is from Matthew 6. Look at the birds of the air. They neither sow nor reap nor gather into barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not of more value than they? But if God so clothes the grass of the field, which today is alive and tomorrow is thrown into the oven, will he not much more clothe you, O you of little faith? Therefore do not be anxious, saying, what shall we eat, or what shall we drink, or what shall we wear, or where shall we live? For the Gentiles seek after all these things, and your heavenly Father knows that you need them all. So I don't know what this video is going to be. I thought this video was going to be, we made an offer and it got accepted. And it might be we made an offer and it didn't, you know? I've just approached God with open hands. Lord, this is what we desire, but may your will be done. Open hands. Don't clench them closed, because you might be clenching them on something that's not right for you.
We're contemplating a potential recession.
Yeah, no doubt about that.
Wait, read the text from Alexis. Read the text from her real quick.
What an amazing God we serve. Signed, sealed, and delivered, accepted offer. I will send out later this evening to all. If too late, I'll have to go out.
It is 9:30 p.m. and we just got a text message from our realtor.
We bought our second home. our forever home.
And I don't know if it's forever home.
It's gonna be our childhood memory home for sure. It's like home our kids are gonna grow up in.
I know it's our second home because like we own this place.
But it feels like our first.
But it feels like our first.
Yeah, because it was just us with the place.
It was just
Like
us.
this place.
And it's not like a house, you know? With like a yard. It's a totally different feeling. We have kids.
Are you gonna get emotional leaving this place?
I mean, I'm already like tearing up now. I can't believe this is actually official. It's been a very emotional few weeks. Thank God. I honestly did not want to see any more houses. I was like, I don't want to keep doing this. Like, it's fun house hunting, but it's also exhausting, especially with children. We just have to get some like dates in place. I'm thinking we're moving in about a month and a half, right?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Thank God, thank God, thank God. My biggest fear was that timeline and like just getting in a house before the baby comes. It has been a week since the last clip we filmed was when we got the news that we got the house
accepted our
at
offer,
night,
yeah.
remember? I pulled my phone out.
Oh, how things have changed since.